Hi, everybody. This stupid Zoom camera shit. Hi, everybody. This is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so already. And if you get anything from my work, a connected die, an epiphany, a mind-blown moment, a new book to read, a new author to explore, artwork to check out, oracle cards, spiritual advice, all the above, all the links to help me, and my website is in the description under this video. You can go to AllyKatzkreations211.com for pyramids. I just today put up drawings I've done over the years and portraits I've done. I do a lot of custom work. Don't sell anything on my website, so it's just a portfolio. Email me if you're interested in anything, because I bet you'd be surprised on the price. So my chair broke. The camera is being really bonkers. Hopefully it's settled down. Yes, I have my Second Amendment right, constitutional carry. I feel more secure, even though I'm spiritually protected. Some people were asking me, what's on your hip? Well, yeah. Don't worry, I'm trained. The Viking has did I knew some stuff, but the Viking has fine-tuned my abilities. The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall, because why not? And a certain someone, my buddy, Mr. JQ, was talking about the Rosicrucians, and I'm like, hi, I tackled that. So hopefully some of you checked the other video out a while back, a few videos ago, on our friends that he's been mentioning. But today, this is going to be interesting because it will tackle the Emerald Tablets, and it will tackle the letter from the Brothers of RC, which is the Rosicrucians. So this shall be very interesting, to say the least. Now, disclosure, because I had somebody rip me a new one, try to at least, it didn't really work. But I'm dyslexic. I cannot project certain words out of my mouth, no matter how hard I try. Even when I put it into the phone to help me pronounce things, some words just don't come out of my mouth properly. That's like a big chunk of my teeth, too, just it's not glued in. So I'm putting that out there, not to embarrass myself, to let people know if how I read triggers you, that means you need to heal and have compassion and grace. I'm not an audiobook. I'm not a professional reader by any stretch of the imagination. And yeah, just wanted to put that out there. The theory and practice of alchemy. All true philosophers of the nature or hermetic sciences begin their labors with a prayer to the supreme alchemist of the universe, beseeching his assistance in the consummation of the magnum opus. The prayer that follows, written in a provincial German centuries ago by an adept now unknown, it is represented. Quote, O holy and hallowed Trinity, thou undivided in triple unity, cause me to sink into the abyss of thy limitless eternal fire, for only in the fire can the mortal nature of man be charged into humble dust, while the new body of the salt union lies in the light. Oh, melt me and transmute me in this thy holy fire, so that on the day at thy command the fiery waters making me alive with his breath. Oh, wait, fiery waters of the Holy Spirit, sorry. Draw me out from the dark dust, giving me new birth and making me alive with his breath. May I also be exalted through the humble humility of thy Son, rising through his assistance out of the dust and ashes and changing into a pure spiritual body of rainbow colors, like unto the transparent crystal-like paradisical gold, that my own nature may be redeemed and purified like the elements before me, and these glasses and bottles. Diffuse me in the waters of life, as though I were in the wine cellar of the eternal Solomon. Here the fire of thy love will receive new fuel and will blaze forth so that no streams can extinguish it. Through the aid of this divine fire, may I in the end be found worthy to be called into the illumination of the righteous. May I then be sealed up with the light of the new world, that I may also obtain unto the immortality and glory, where there shall be no more alteration of light and darkness. Amen. Interesting. Very thorough prayer. You could say that. The origin of alchemical formulae. Apparently, but few of the medieval alchemists discovered the great archaeum without aid. Some authors declaring that none of them obtained the desire and without the assistance of a master or a teacher. In every instance, the identity of these masters have been carefully concealed, and even during the Middle Ages, speculation ran rife concerning them. It was customary to call such illumined sages adepts, a title which indicated that they possessed the true secrets of transmutation and multiplication. These adepts were polyamorous individuals who unexpectedly appeared and disappeared again, leaving no trace of their whereabouts. There are indications that a certain degree of organization existed among them. The most powerful of the alchemical organizations were the Rosicrucians, the Illuminati, and certain Arabian and Syrian sects. Pause. Transylvania Moonrise. There's an alchemist. And that book is mind-blowing. So if you're interested, I do a book review on that on this channel. But that right there is in Transylvania Moonrise. In the documents which follow, reference are made to the brethren or brothers. These are to signify that those who had actually accomplished the magnum opus were banded together and known to each by cipher codes and secret signs or symbols. Apparently, a number of these illumined adepts dwelt in Arabia, where several of the great European alchemists were initiated in Asia Minor. Where a disciple of the alchemical arts had learned the supreme secret, he guarded it jealously, revealing to no man his priceless treasure. He was not permitted to disclose even to the members of his immediate family. As the years passed, one who had discovered the secret, or more properly, one to whom it had been revealed, sought for some younger man worthy to be entrusted with the formula. To this one, and to this one only, as a rule, the philosopher was permitted to disclose the archaeum. The younger man then became the philosophical son of the old sage, and to him the latter bequeathed his secrets. Occasionally, however, an adept, on finding a sincere and earnest seeker, would entrust him in the fundamental principles of the art, and if the disciple persisted, he was quietly initiated into the august fraternity of the brethren. In such manner, the alchemical process was preserved, but the number of those who knew them did not increase rapidly. It's also in Transylvania Moonrise, in that story, or fictions. Sorry, my friends. Again, my chair broke. During the 16th and 17th and 18th centuries, a considerable number of alchemical adepts made their way from place to place throughout Europe, appearing and disappearing apparently at will. According to the popular tradition, these adepts were immortal and kept themselves alive by means of the mysterious medicine that was one of the goals of alchemical aspiration. It's also in the book. It is asserted that some lived hundreds of years taking no food except the elixir, a few drops of which would preserve their youth for a long period of time. That such mysterious men did exist, there can be little doubt as to the presence is attested by scores of reliable witnesses. It is further asserted that they are still to be found by those who have qualified themselves to contact them. The philosophers taught that like attracts like, and that when the disciple has developed a virtue and integrity acceptable to the adepts, they will appear to him and reveal those parts of the secret process which cannot be discovered without such help. Wisdom is a flower from which the bee is its honey mix and the spider poisoned, each according to his own nature. The reader must bear in mind at all times that the formulae and emblems of alchemy are to be taken primary as allegorical symbols, for until their esoteric significance has been comprehended, their literal interpretation is valueless. Neither early alchemical formula has one element purposely omitted, it being decided by the medieval philosophers that those who could not with their own intelligence discover their missing substance or process were not disqualified to be entrusted with the secrets which could give them control of over great masses of humanity, and likewise subject to their will the elemental forces of nature. That would suck. And it already has happened severely and sadly. The Emerald Tablet of Hermes. I've read that also on this channel. The oldest and most revered of all the alchemical formula is the sacred Emerald Tablet of Hermes. Authorities do not agree as to the genuineness of this tablet, some declaring it to be post-Christian fraud, but there is much evidence that regardless of its author, the table is of great antiquity. While the symbol of the Emerald Tablet is of special Masonic import, relating as it does to the personality of C. Hiram Abif, it is first and fundamentally an alchemical formula, relating both to the alchemy of the base metals and the divine alchemy of human regeneration. In Dr. Sigismund Backstrom's collection of alchemical manuscripts is a section devoted to the translations and interpretations of this remarkable tablet, which was known to the ancients as the Tabula Smaragdina. Dr. Backstrom was initiated into the Brotherhood of the Rose Cross on the island of Mauritius by one of these unknown adepts who at the time called himself Kamate de Chazal. I'm sorry, I'm butchering names now. Dr. Backstrom's translations and notes on the Emerald Tablet are in part as follows, the actual text being reproduced in capital letters. The Emerald Tablet, the most ancient monument of the Chaldeans, concerning the lapis the philosopher's stone. Sorry, guys, I cannot pronounce that entire word there. The Emerald Tablet furnishes the origin of the allegorical history of King Hiram. The Chaldeans, Egyptians, and Hebrews, in what concerns Hiram, have taken their knowledge from one of the same fountain. Homerus, who relates this history in a different manner, followed the original, and Virgil, followed Homerus, as Hesiod took the subject for his theogony, likewise from thence, which Ovid took afterwards for a pattern of his metamorphosis. The knowledge of nature's secret operations constitutes the principle since all these ancient writings, but ignorance framed out of it that external or veiled mythology, and the lower class of people turned it into idolatry. The genuine translation from the original, very ancient Chaldee, is as follows: the secret works of Harem, one in essence, but three in aspect. The two first large words means the secret work. The second line in large letters reads Harem, Talat, Mazakat. Harem, the universal agent, one in essence, but three in aspect. It is true, no lie, certain, and to be depended upon. The superior agrees with the inferior, and the inferior with the superior, to the effect that one truly wonderful work, as all things owe their existence to the will of the only one, so all things owe their origin to the one only thing, the most hidden by that arrangement of the only God. The father of that one only thing is the sun. Its mother is the moon. The wind carries it in its belly, but its nourishes is a spiritus earth. That one only thing after God is the father of all things in the universe. Its power is perfect after it has been unified to a spirituous earth. Process first distillation. Separate that spirituous earth from the dense or crude by means of a gentle heat with much attention. Last digression. In great measure, it ascends from the earth up to the heaven and descends again, newborn on the earth, and the superior and the inferior are increased in power. The Azoth ascends from the earth, from the bottom of the glass, and descends in veins and drops into the earth. And by this continual circulation, the Azoth is more and more subtilized, volatilized soul, carries the volatilized solar atoms along with it, and thereby becomes a solar Azoth. Our third and genuine Sophic Mercury, and the circulation of the solar Azoth must continue until it ceases itself, and the earth has sucked it all in, when it must become the black pitchy matter, the toad, the substance in the alchemical retort, and also the lower elements of the body of man, which denotes complete purification or death of the compound. But this thou wilt partake of the honors of the whole world, without doubt, as the black pitchy matter will and must of necessity become white and red, the red being carried to perfection medicinally and for metals, is then fully capable of preserve us ample means in infinitum multiple to be benevolent and charitable without any diminution of our inexhaustible resources. Therefore, may it be called the glory honors of the whole world, as truly the study and contemplation of LP harmonizing with divine truths elevates the mind of our God, our Creator and merciful Father. And if he should permit us to possess it practically, must eradicate the very principle of avarice, envy, and evil inclinations, and cause our hearts to melt in gratitude toward him, that he has been so kind to us. Therefore, the philosophers say with great truth that LP either finds a good man or makes one, and darkness will fly from thee. By invigorating the organs the soul makes use of for communicating with exterior objects, the soul must acquire greater powers, not only for conception, but also retention. And therefore, if we wish to obtain still more knowledge, the organs and secret springs of physical life being wonderfully strengthened and invigorated, the soul must acquire new powers for conceiving and retaining, especially if we pray to God for knowledge and confirm our prayers by faith. All obscurity must vanish, of course. That this has not been the case with all possessors was their own fault, as they contented themselves merely with the transmutation of metals. Use. This is the strength of all powers. This is a very strong figure to indicate that the LP positively does possess all the powers concealed in nature, not for destruction, but for exhalation and regeneration of matter in the three departments of nature. With all this, thou wilt be able to overcome all things and to transmute all what is fine, art, and what is coarse, art. It will conquer every subtle thing, of course, as it refixes the most subtle oxygen into its own fiery nature, and that with more power, penetration, and virtue in a tenfold ratio at every multiplication and each time in a much shorter period, until its power becomes incalculable, which multiplied power also penetrates, overcomes every solid thing. Such an unconquerable gold and silver, the otherwise unalterable mercury, crystals, and glass fluxes, to which it is able to give natural hardness and fixity, as Philthrea does attest and prove by artificial diamond in my father's time, in possession of Prince Liechtenstein in Vienna, valued at 500,000 ducats, fixed by the lapis philosopher's stone. Very interesting there. In this manner, the world was created. The arrangements to follow this road are hidden. For this reason, I am called Kiram Talat Mischas Mich Asat. One in essence, but three in aspect. In the Trinity is hidden the wisdom of the world, the wisdom of the whole world. It is thought that Hermes was Moses or Zoroaster. Otherwise, Hermes signifies a serpent, and the serpent used to be an emblem of knowledge or wisdom. The serpent is met with everywhere amongst the hieroglyphics of the ancient Egyptians. So the globe with wings, the sun and moon, dragons and griffins, whereby the Egyptians denoted their sublime knowledge of the lapis philosophorum, according to Sudius. The hints in the scriptures and even Denon, where he speaks of the sanctuaries of ancient Egyptian temples. It is ended now what I have said concerning the effects of the sun, finish of the tabula Sarmagindina. When I have said or taught of the solar work, it is now finished, the perfect seed for the multiplication. This I know to acknowledge to be genuine tabula Samara Godina Hermetitus. I totally butchered that, but hi, everybody. A letter from the brothers of RC, Rose Cross. Although Eugenus Philalethes disclaimed membership in the Rosicrucian fraternity, it is believed that for a number of years, he was the head of that order in a little work called Lumen de Lumen, or New Magical Light, discovered and communicated to the world, published in London in 1651. Eugenus gives a remarkable letter, presumably from the Rosicrucian order. Accompanying the letter is an emblematic figure setting forth in symbolic form the process and formulae of the Philosopher's Stone. This epistle is an excellent example of the Rosicrucian system of combining abstract theological speculations with concrete chemical formula. With the aid of the material contained in various parts of this present book, the student would do well to set himself the task of solving the riddle containing in this hieroglyphic. A letter from the brothers of RC concerning the invisible magical mountain and treasure therein contained. Every man naturally desires his superiority, to have treasures of gold and silver, intellect and soul, and to seem great in the eyes of the world. God indeed created all things for the use of man, that he might rule over them and acknowledge therein the singular goodness and omnipotence of God. Sorry, guys. My nose is itchy. Give him thanks for his benefits, honor him, and praise him. But there is no man looks after these things. Otherwise, then by spreading his days idly, they would enjoy them without any precious labor and danger. Neither do they look them out of that place where God hath treasured them up, who expects also that man should seek for them there, and to those that seek will he give them. But there is not any that labors for a possession in that place, and therefore these riches are not found. For the way to this place and the place itself hath been unknown for a long time, and it's hidden from the greatest part of the world. But notwithstanding it be difficult and laborious to find out this way and place, yet the place should be sought after. But it is not the will of God to conceal anything from those who are his. And therefore, in this last age, before the final judgment comes, all things shall be manifested to those that are worthy, as he himself, though obscurely, lest it should be manifested to the unworthy, hath spoken in a certain place. There is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hidden that shall not be known. We, therefore, being moved by the Spirit of God, do declare that the will of God to the world, which we have also already performed and published in several languages, but most men either revile or condemn that our manifesto, or else wavering the Spirit of God, they expect the proposals thereof from us, supposing we will straightway teach them how to make gold by art, or furnish them with an ample treasures, whereby they may live pompously in the face of the world, swagger and make wars, turn users, gluttons, and drunkards like unchastely, and defile their whole life with several other sins, all which things are contrary to the blessed will of God. These men should have learned from those 10 virgins, whereof 5 that were foolish demanded oil for their lamps, for those 5 that were wise, how that the case is much otherwise. It is expedient that every man should labor for this treasure by the assistance of God in his own particular search and industry. But the perverse intentions of these fellows were understand out of their own writings by the singular grace and revelation of God. We do stop our ears and wrap ourselves as it were in clouds to avoid the bellowings and howlings of those men who in vain cry out for gold. And hence indeed it comes to pass that they brand us with infinite calumnies and slanders, which notwithstanding we do not resent, but God in his good time will judge them for it. But after that we had well known, though unknown to you, and perceived also by your writing, how diligently you are to pre-use the Holy Scripture and seek true knowledge of God. We have also above many thousands thought you worthy of some good answer, and we signify this much to you by the will of God and the admiration of the Holy Ghost. Sorry, guys, I've been trying to readjust myself so that I'm comfy. There is a mountain situated in the midst of the earth, or center of the world, which is both small and great. It is soft, also above measure, hard and stony. It is far off and near at hand, but by the providence of God invisible. In it are hidden most ample treasures, which the world is not able to value. This mountain by envy of the devil, who always opposeth the glory of God, and the happiness of man, is compassed about with very cruel beasts and other ravenous birds, which make the way hither both difficult and dangerous. And therefore hereto, because the time is not yet come, the way thither could not be sought after nor found out. but now at the last way is to be found by those that are worthy, but notwithstanding by every man's self-labor and endeavors. To this mountain you shall go in a certain night when it comes, most long and most dark, and see that you prepare yourselves by prayer. Insist upon the way that leads to the mountain, but ask not of any man where the way lies. Only follow your guide, who will offer himself to you, and you will meet you in the way, but you shall not know him. This guide will bring you to the mountain at midnight. When all things are silent and dark, it is necessary that you arm yourself with a resolute, heroic courage, lest you fear those things that will happen and so fall back. You need no sword nor any other bodily weapons. Only call upon God sincerely and heartily. When you have discovered the mountain, the first miracle that will appear is this: a most vehement and very great wind that will shake the mountain and shatter the rocks to pieces. You shall be encountered also by lions and dragons and other terrible beasts. But fear not any of these things. Be resolute and take heed that you return not. For your guide, who brought you thither, will not suffer any evil to befall you. As for the treasure, it is not yet discovered, but it is very near. After this wind will come, an earthquake will overthrow those things which the wind hath left and make all flat. But be sure that you fall not off. The earthquake being past, there shall follow a fire that will consume the earthly rubbish and discover the treasure, but as yet you cannot see it. After all these things, near the daybreak, there shall be a great calm, and you shall see the day star arise, and the dawning will appear, and you shall perceive great treasure, the chiefest thing in it, and the most perfect is a certain exalted tincture, with which the world, if it served God and were worthy of such gifts, might be tinged and turned into the most pure gold. This tincture, being used as your guide shall teach you, will make you young when you are old, and you shall perceive no disease in any part of your bodies. By means of this tincture also you shall find pearls of that excellency which cannot be imagined, but do not you aggregate anything to yourself because of your present power. Be contented with that which your guide shall communicate to you. Praise God perpetually for his gift, and have a special care that you use it not for worldly pride, but employ it in such works which are contrary to the world. Use it rightly and enjoy it, so as if you had not it. Live a temperate life and beware of all sin, otherwise your guide will forsake you, and you shall be deprived of this happiness. For know this of a truth, whosoever abuseth this tincture and lives not exemplary, purely and devotedly before men, he shall lose these benefits, and scarce any hope will be left ever to recover it afterwards. Okay, that is also in Transylvania Sunrise to an extent in the story. So I love that book. So go check out my book review because, yeah, a lot of that's in there. If, as transcendentalists believe, the initiations into the fraternity of the Rose Cross was given in the invisible worlds, which surrounded and interpreted the visible universe, it is not beyond the range of possibility that this allegory is to be considered in the light of an initiatory ritual as well as an alchemical formula. As has been noted, it is difficult to secure a complete formula for any of the alchemical operations. The one presented here is the most nearly complete of any available. The collecting of the rays and energies of the celestial bodies as precipitated in dew is a process which Paracelsus used with great success. Bear constantly in mind that these processes are only for those who have been properly instructed in the secret art. A true revelation on the manual of operation for the universal medicine, commonly called the Philosopher's Stone, by the celebrated philosopher Leiden, as attested upon his deathbed with his own blood, Anno Domini 1662, to my loving cousin and son, the true Hermetic philosopher. Dear loving cousin and son, although I have resolved never to give in writing to any person the secret of the ancient sages, yet notwithstanding out of peculiar affection and love to you, I have taken it upon me, to which the nearness of our relationship obliges me, and especially because this temporal life is short and art is very dark, and you may therefore not obtain the wished for end. But my son, because so precious a jewel belongs not to swine, and also this great a gift of God may be treated carefully and Christian-like, in consideration thereof, I do so largely declare myself to thee. I conjure thee with hand and mouth sacredly. First, that most especially thou faithfully keep the same from all wicked, lustful, and criminal persons. Secondly, that thou exalt not thyself in any way. Thirdly, that thou seek to advance the honor of thy Creator of all things, and the good of thy neighbor. Preserve it sacredly, that the Lord may not have cause to complain of thee at the last day. I have written here in this treaty such a part of the kingdom of heaven, just as I myself have worked this treasure and finished it with my fingers. Therefore, I have subscribed all this work with my blood, lying on my deathbed in Leiden. That's pretty interesting there. The process. In the name of God, take of the purest and cleanest salt, sea salt, so as it is made by the sun itself. If such as it is brought by shipping from Spain, I use salt that came from St. Uber. Let it be dried in a warm stove. Grind it in a stone mortar as fine as possible to a powder, that it may be so used much the easier dissolved and taken up by our dew water, which is thus to be had in the months of May or June. When the moon is at the full, observe when the dew falls with an east or southeast wind. Then you must have sticks about 1.5 feet high above the ground when driven in the earth. Upon 2 or 3 such sticks, lay some 4 square plates of glass, and as the dew falls, it is easily fastened on the glass like a vapor. Then have glass vessels in readiness. Let the dew drain from the sides of the glasses into your vessels. Do this until you have enough. The full of the moon is a good season. Afterwards, it will be hard. The solar rays descending from the sun carry with them the solar sulfur, the divine fire. These rays are crystallized by contact with the lunar rays. The solar rays are also met by the emanations pouring upward from the Earth's surface, and are thus still further crystallized into a partly tangible substance, which is soluble in pure water. The substance is the magical mountain of the moon, referred to in the RC letter. The crystallization of the solar and lunar rays in water dew produces the virgin earth, a pure invisible substance uncontaminated by material matter. When the virgin earth crystals are wet, they appear green. When dry, white. That is very interesting, guys. Von Welling makes a suggestion for the extraction of the solar life from stagnant water, but it is reticent both as to naming the essence extracted and also as to the various processes through which it must pass to be refined and increase the power. His hint, however, is both valuable and unusual. Take sweet, clean water and seal it in a large bottle, leaving about 1/4 empty, placing the bottle in the sun for some weeks until it rots, showing our precipitation in the bottom. This precipitation, when properly manipulated by distillation, will produce a clear, fiery, burning oil that constitutes and use of which are only known to the wise. The philosopher elated continues, now when you have enough of the dew, close your glasses exactly and keep it till you use it, that none of its spirits may evaporate, which may easily happen. Set it therefore in a cool place that no warmth may come to it, or else the subtle spirit will rise and be gone, which will not so happen if after you have filled your glasses with dew quite full, you close them very well with wax. That is curious. Now in the name of God, take of this dew water as much as thou wilt, put in a clean dissolving glass, then cast a little of your forementioned powder salt into it to be dissolved, and continue to put it in till your dew water will dissolve no more, or till the salt lies in it 4 days without being dissolved. Then it has enough, and until your dew is given its proper powder of this compounded water, take as much as thou wilt. I took about a half pound and a half and put it in a round vial with the short neck. Fill it with our water and lute it with a good lute, a cover and stopple that fits it well, that the subtle and living spirit of the dew may not fume away, but for they should, the soul of the salt will never be stirred up. Sorry, guys. Nor the work ever brought to a right end. Let the lute dry very well of itself, and set it in the furnace of BM to putrefy. Make a slow fire and let it digest for 40 days or 50. And then the fume of the water will be continually round about it, and you will see your matter grow black, which is a token of its putrefaction. As soon as you have taken it out, have your dry furnace ready. Set your glass with the matter into an inner globe to coagulate. Give it a slow degree of fire. Continue it equally for 12 or 15 days, and your matter will begin to coagulate and to fasten around about your glass like a gray salt, which as soon as you see, and before it be 2 days, slacken the fire, that it may cool leisurely. Then have it readiness your putrefying furnace as before. Set your glass therein and give the same degree of fire as before. Let it stand 12 days, and again you will see the matter resolve and open as before, and open itself, but you must every time see that the lute in your glass is not hurt. When you set your glass in the putrefying furnace, take care that the neck of your glass is covered with a wooden or glass stopper that fits exact, that the moisture of the water may not come out. When you see it black, set your glass as before to coagulate, and when it begins to be of a grayish color and whitish, set it in a third time to putrefy and coagulate to the 5th time, until you see that your water is dissolution is clean, plucked and clear. Sorry, guys. And it appears in its calcification of a fine white like snow. Then it is prepared and becomes a salt fix, which will melt on a hot silver plate like wax. But before you set this, your salt out, set it again in the furnace of putrefaction, that it may dissolve of itself. Then let it cool. Open your glass, and you will find your matter lessened a third part. But instead of your former salt water, you will have a fine, sweet, and very penetrating water, which the philosophers have hidden under very wonderful names. It is the mercury of all true philosophers, the water out of which comes gold and silver. For they say its father is gold and its mother is silver. Thus hast thou the strength of both these luminaries conjoined in this water, most true in its right pondus. Interesting. Prescription: 5 drops of this water taken inwardly strengthens the understanding and memory, and opens to us most wonderful and sweet things, of which no man hath heard, and of which I dare not further write, because of the oath I made God to the contrary. Time and the holy use of this water, blessed water, will teach us as soon as you have taken it inwardly, such influences will happen to thee, as if the whole heavens and all the stars with their powers are working in thee. All knowledge and secret arts will be open to thee as in a dream. But the most excellent of all is you will perfectly learn rightly to know all creatures and their nature, and by the means thereof the true understanding of God, the creator of us. Heaven and earth, like David and Moses and all the saints of God, for the wisdom of our fountain of living water, will instruct thee as it did Solomon and the brethren of our fraternity. In his rare treatise on salt, sulfur, and mercury, von Welling discloses a secret not generally revealed in alchemical writings, namely that the alchemists were concerned not only with the transmutation of metals, but had a complete cosmological and philosophical system based on the Kabbalah. According to von Welling, the universal salt and watery form is a positive cure for the physical ailments of mankind. It is in every living thing, but from some things it is more easily secured than from others. Especially is this true of virgin earth. It is a universal solvent, the alkahist. The same writer also states that in the first stages of the preparation, the salt will cure any and all diseases of the heart. This anonymous philosopher of Leyden continues, would you now proceed further with our blessing water to the forementioned intention of preparing a tincture for metals? Hearken, my son. Take in the name of the Lord of thy paradisical water, of heavenly water of mercury, as much as thou wilt. Put it into a glass to dissolve, and set it in a slow heat of ashes, that it may just feel the warmth. Then have ready well purified gold for the red, or silver for the white elixir, for in both the processes are the same. Let your gold or silver be beaten as thin as leaf gold. Cast it by degrees into your dissolving glass that contains your blessed water, as you did in the beginning with your salt, and it will melt like ice in warm water, and continue to do still. Your gold and silver lie therein 4 days without dissolving. When it has received its due pontos, then put the dissolution as before into a round glass. Fill it 2/3 part, seal it hermetically as before. Let your sigillum be well dried. Set it in the furnace of balneum vapori. Make a fire and let it remain 40 days as before. Then will the gold and silver be dissolved radically and will turn of the deepest black in the world, which as soon as you see, have your other drying furnace in readiness. Continuing philosophers say there is no true solution of the body without preceding coagulation of the spirit, for there are interchangeably mixed in a due proportion, whereby the bodily essence becomes of spiritual penetrating nature. On the other hand, the incomprehensible spiritual essential virtue is also made corporeal by the fire, because there is made between them so near a relation or friendship, like as the heavens operate to the very depth of earth, producing from thence all the treasures and riches of the whole world. Admiratum. I'm not reading Latin. With this powder, you may as follows project on metals. Take 5 parts of fine gold or silver according as you work, and melt it in a crucible. Wrap up your medicinal in wax, cast it therein, give a strong fire for an hour. Then take the crucible out, as it were calcined. Then cast 1 part on 10 parts of imperfect metals, be it what it will, and the same will be immediately changed into pure metal. Then what is brought out of the mines and produced by melting. And when you are augment it in strength and virtue by resolving and coagulating the 5th time, it will resolve itself in 3 days and be coagulated in 24 hours' time to an incredible and most highly I can't get the word out, and I'm not going to struggle for it. Stone, Pellucid. It's just not coming out right now. Or red, shining, burning coal. For the white work, it will become like a white stream of lightning. Of this last coagulation, take 1 part, cast it upon 5,000 of melted gold or silver as before. It changes the same into perfect medicine, 1 part whereof will tinge 100,000 parts of melted imperfect metals into the very finest gold or silver. So far I have brought, and further I would not come, for as I would set in the matter to distill 6 times in 12 hours, it subtilized so highly that the most part, like somewhat most wonderful to behold, passed through the glass, causing an inexpressible odoriferous smell. Take heed that it happens not to you. Many more wonders of this holy art might be added, namely how to prepare therewith all sorts of precious stones and other most admirable things. But it would require too great a book to express the whole as it ought to be, especially as the art is endless and not to be apprehended with one view. And my purpose has been, loving cousin and son, devotedly to lead thee into the mysteries of nature and this holy science, and I have faithfully performed it. In conclusion, the letter states, go thou to work as I have done before thee. Fear God, love thy neighbor from the bottom of thy soul sincerely. So will in the manual operation everything to thee, and when thou art at work, wherein many of our brethren will reveal themselves to thee, of our holy order privately. For I have on my part for the eternal God wrote the truth, which I found out by prayer and searching into nature, which work I have seen with my eyes and with my hands extracted. Therefore, as I have subscribed this testament with my own blood, the last day of my life on my deathbed, Actium Laden, 27th March, 1662. And that ends part 2 of Theory and Practice of Alchemy. So guys, I really hoped you enjoyed this. Sorry for the mumbling and like not getting words out. It's very frustrating for myself, but I put that at the beginning so you understand. I'm not trying to be disrespectful or sound stupid, but why would I want to do that? Well, I'm doing a service to others, so all good. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Go check out shorts. Go check out other works. Yeah, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.